What's good, YouTube? It's your boy J2 Swifty. Know what I'm saying? Hey, man, we got a reaction over here, man. We got 10 worst risks in history that almost ruined everything. Don't we got like 30 of those? Don't we got like 100 of those moments? Or like a million risks, bro? Like, we always risking shit. Like, niggas always risking shit for something that like just ruins everything, you know what I mean? But they got the top 10 worst shit, so let's check it out. Oh, I kind of started the video a little bit. What the fuck?
В ситуациях хуже не бывает.
What
Один
the fuck?
неверный
It's the
шаг,
same. One wrong.
и начнется настоящий.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. Today we're looking at perilous gambles in history which almost completely backfired. For this list, everything doesn't necessarily mean the whole world, but everything from the risk-taker's perspective.
A smaller but much better army takes on
What
a
the
very
hell?
big, very strong
Is this a
opponent,
game?
and on an open plain, there's no ambush, there's no surprise.
Black Saturday.
Looked like we were going to cut a deal to get us all out of this mess.
Bro,
Today, the Soviets are reneging.
is this?
We're going to try and salvage the situation, but a lot of things are going wrong today.
The Cuban Missile Crisis was perhaps the closest humans have come to mutually assured destruction. In 1962, the Cold War between America and the Soviets peaked. America placed nukes in Turkey and Italy, motivating the Soviets to put their own in Cuba. This turned into a Caribbean standoff.
Khrushchev knew that he was losing
Oh
control
yeah,
of
yeah,
events
yeah,
in
yeah.
Cuba.
I remember
He was
school.
also told that Kennedy was under severe pressure from the military to act. If another U.S. plane were shot down, it might trigger a clash neither wanted.
On Black Saturday, the U.S. Navy accidentally dropped practice depth charges on a Soviet nuclear submarine without telling them.
That's
the
crazy.
submarine nearly retaliated by launching their nukes,
Oh
but
my
thankfully
gosh.
one commander refused to give his consent. The whole
Why?
crisis was an enormous risk that almost wiped out humanity.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
widely hailed as a war game, but this was a slight exaggeration. The maneuvers were designed simply to give the men experience in landing their heavy equipment, keeping it running in the sand and salt water.
Nuclear bombs in Korea.
The Marines can consolidate to begin a fighting withdrawal out of the Chosin Trap. Hagaru's unfinished airfield, now the
Damn.
only means of getting out the growing number
But it look like
of
Call of Duty
must be
2,
completed
Big Red
and
1.
made operational.
In 1950,
Oh,
the
geez,
Korean
no.
War began, a proxy war between both sides of the Cold War. The North was communist, the South capitalist. Douglas MacArthur was one of the most famous American generals in history, and he was a major player in the war. It wasn't as easy to win as they expected, and in 1951, MacArthur was nearly authorized to use nuclear weapons on China. Thankfully, the Atomic
They did
Energy
have
Commission
nuclear
didn't
weapons.
like this idea and refused to give MacArthur this power. Truman preferred a less aggressive approach and eventually relieved him from command to avoid nuclear war with China.
Nuclear war in 1977? Bro, I didn't even know nukes were like that in the 1970s, 60s, bro.
Of God points the way. Follow in his name to the Holy Grail of righteous victory.
Heraclius's reign.
Hercules?
Heraclius came to power after an
Heraclius?
extremely risky revolt against Phocas in 1610, a widely hated ruler. If failed, he would have been executed without a second thought, but he
Oh.
managed it. The Roman Empire was on life support at this point.
What the hell?
Make your browser
Oh, we got ads,
Make
bro.
your browser safe.
Damn.
Make your
By 627, the
My
Sasanian
bad.
Empire had captured Egypt, Syria, and most of Anatolia.
He speaks of a new prophet in Arabia.
Was it like this when John the Baptist came to King Herod, out of the desert, crying about salvation?
Instead of surrendering, Heraclius bet everything on a counteroffensive. He restructured the economy and personally led his army deep into Persia. If he had failed, the Roman Empire would have been annihilated from history.
That's
the Battle
crazy.
of Nineveh in 627 brought him to a decisive victory against the Sasanians. Without his actions, they might have fallen to the Sasanians or been unable to completely resist the Arab conquests in the 630s. The Tet Offensive.
If we've got to die on this tower, let us die like men and Marines and don't embarrass ourselves or our families or the Marine Corps.
Now for a textbook example of a massive miscalculation. In 1968, during the brutal Vietnam War, the North Vietnamese launched a surprise attack on the South. It was a military defeat for the North, with most attacks being repelled. Still, its consequences were devastating. It revealed to the U.S. public just how unwinnable the war was. In 1967, General Westmoreland famously declared they could see the light at the end of the tunnel.
You know, Vietnam reminded me of a child, the developing of a child. The laws of nature control the development of this child. The child has to sit up before it crawls. It has to crawl before it walks. It has to walk before it runs.
This coordinated offensive from the communists showed just how false this claim
God
was.
damn!
Support for the war plummeted.
That's just
President
blowing.
Johnson was humiliated, and the U.S. would eventually leave in the early 70s.
The enemy has very deceitfully taken advantage of the Tet ceasefire to launch an offensive all over the country. So far, we've had it pretty easy here.
Caesar crossing the Rubicon.
Winking at a boy is crazy. Yep.
Now for a move so risky it became an idiom. The Rubicon River was the boundary between Gaul and Italy, and Caesar's crossing was considered treason, since a general was forbidden from bringing legions into Roman territory without the Senate's approval. This was an act of civil war, and if defeated, he would have been executed, and his entire faction destroyed. The Roman Republic was in a fragile state, and Caesar was heavily outnumbered. A defeat would have caused further unrest, but he emerged victorious, marking the end of the Republic. He would eventually be killed by the Senate, but his heir Augustus finished what he started, and Rome entered a golden age.
I could abide the law and surrender my arms to the Senate and watch the Republic fall to tyranny and chaos. Or I can go home with my sword in my hand and run those maniacs to the Tarpeian Rock!
The Penkovsky False Warning.
Oleg Penkovsky is a curious figure. He was profoundly arrogant. He may have had delusions of grandeur about both his own importance and where he could serve the Americans and the British.
Colonel Oleg Penkovsky was a Cold War double agent. A lot of people credit him for defusing the Cuban Missile Crisis by providing the U.S. with Soviet information. In 1962, he also sent a warning to Western intelligence agencies that the Soviet Union was about to launch a nuclear strike.
They will not catch us. The KGB will have no idea. Listen, I'm better at this than they are.
Fine, but I'm not.
He made these calls after the crisis ended. One was received by the CIA, the other by MI6. Both recipients believed the information wasn't genuine and decided to do nothing. This was an immense risk, since if it had been true, Europe and the US would have been annihilated.
Damn.
Thankfully, their instincts were correct, and nuclear war was averted.
In just 18 months,
gosh.
he rattled powerful
A lot of
USSR
nuclear wars
and radically
being
changed the balance of power
eluded.
between the East and the West.
That nigga's chin
Battle
is.
of Cannae.
At the front,
What the hell is
Roman attack
this?
became bogged down
Bro,
because
is this
of
a
its
game,
densely
bro?
packed formation.
Bro.
At the back, the Carthaginian cavalry closed in.
Hannibal Barca was one of Rome's greatest enemies.
Oh my
he
gosh.
was a Carthaginian general whose father made him swear to destroy Rome. In 218 BC, he began the Second Punic War, crossing the Alps on elephants. This extreme risk nearly cost him his army.
What the
but once he
hell
made it
is
into Italy,
that?
he quickly
Those look like a
allied
bunch
with
of
the local
Koras,
Gallic
bro.
tribes who hated Rome.
Hannibal must have known that this was it. This was Rome's big attempt to exterminate him. And they thought they could do it, as they always had done, by sheer weight of numbers.
This helped him achieve multiple crushing defeats against the Romans. Most notable was at Cannae, when the Senate sent around 86,000 soldiers to fight Hannibal.
In front of the massed Roman infantry, Hannibal places his allies from Spain and Gaul. They will bear the brunt of Rome's attack.
He executed a double envelopment tactic, and this cunning maneuver resulted in 50 to 70,000 being slaughtered in a day. Rome's decision to fight Hannibal nearly
what?
50 to 70,000 double
How many?
envelopment tactic. And this cunning maneuver resulted in 50 to 70,000 being slaughtered in a day.
50
Rome's
to
decision to fight Hannibal nearly cost
70,000?
them their republic, motivating
Oh,
their later decision to avoid
shit.
fighting Hannibal at all costs.
Taking his ring like that is crazy. I'm not letting that.
That the war was over. So naturally, he would have paused for a moment to say, wow.
1983 Soviet false alarm.
I
What was
started
this?
giving commands. Everyone in place. Monitor all functions. Do this and that, according to instructions. Everything pointed to a yes except for one thing. The launch was not confirmed visually.
Returning to the Cold War, in 1983, humanity had another near miss with mutually assured destruction. In September, the Soviet warning system alerted them about 5 American ICBMs. Engineer
That is
Stanislav
ICBMs.
Petrov found it suspicious, essentially since only 5 nukes were launched, nowhere near enough to destroy the USSR. Rather than relay the warning, he decided to wait for confirmation.
103-101, космическая система выдала сигнал. Пошла ракета, повторяю, пошла баллистическая ракета. Военная база, западное побережье США.
None came. Because it was a malfunction. The missiles were just sunlight. If Petrov had relayed the message, then a counterattack would have developed into a full-scale nuclear war. Unfortunately, Petrov wasn't rewarded for his bravery, since officials were embarrassed about the false positive.
The incident embarrassed the military command of the Soviet army. Petrov was made into a scapegoat.
That's
He was
crazy.
eventually forced into early retirement.
Forced into early retirement? Bro, that's down bad, bro. Like, that's down bad.
The Eastern Roman Empire experienced a golden age during the medieval period, but its decline began in 1025 after the death of Basil II. This battle between the Romans and the Seljuks resulted in an overwhelming defeat, with many Roman forces, including Turkic mercenaries, in their ranks. Many refused to fight or even defected, and the Seljuk Empire gained almost complete control over Anatolia. This almost destroyed their empire, but in 1081, Alexios Komnenos took the throne. He spent his reign dealing with crisis after crisis, and after almost 40 years on the throne, the Roman Empire was stable once again.
What the fuck is this? I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I know this is like real history stuff and shit, but like, bro, me personally, I'm not getting bitch slapped like this, bro. I know this is a movie, but still, bro, this is crazy, bro. This nigga got slapped like he stole something. Look at this shit. I'm not taking that. What the hell is
Ring the
this?
bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. Operation Overlord.
Store party! No armor has made it ashore. We got no DD tanks on the beach. Dog 1 is not open.
The Normandy landings were the largest seaborne in military history. France was firmly under German control until June 1944, when nearly 160,000 Allied troops crossed the Channel. By summer's close, more than 2 million Allied soldiers were in France.
Bro,
its success
2
was vital to
million?
toppling Hitler's regime.
Bro, 2 fucking million, bro? Bro, this was in World War, the Call of Duty game, bro. Bro, this, like, I don't even know how niggas, like, can live after this, bro. Like,
It
bro,
was far from guaranteed. A failure would have prolonged the war, giving the Nazis a stronger hold on Europe.
We all have orders and we have to follow them. That supersedes everything, including your mother's.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Even if you think the mission's FUBAR, sir?
Especially if you think the mission's FUBAR.
The Nazis would have strengthened their defenses, and a second invasion may have never succeeded. Thankfully, the risk paid off, and within weeks, Paris and later France were liberated.
They locked me in a broken-down potting shed and told me to imagine I was a prisoner trying to escape. If I used that wall, I'd be shot. If I climbed that fence, I'd be electrocuted. If I trod here, there, anywhere, I'd be blown up by hidden mines.
What do you think was the most precarious gamble in
Damn.
history? Leave it in the comments below. Check out these other clips from Watch
Sheesh.
Mojo, and be sure to subscribe and...
man, that's gonna, ow, fuck, that's gonna cap it off though to the video, man. Today in the world, it's a lot more risk, bigger risks than this here. Well, I guess it's equivalent because they're talking about the whole world being obliterated over some risks, and I guess the same thing now. But I'm a part of it now, and I don't like that. So we need to get rid of those risks, all right? But that's gonna cap it off, man. I'm gonna see you guys in the next reaction. You know what I'm saying?